Masechta Bava basra, yeah. Daf Kuf Mem Gimel Amid Aleph. We're starting from Kuf Mem Beis Amid Beis, like 15 lines from the bottom. Ahu the Amila Deviso. There was this person that said to his wife, Nechasai livni deyavi li minech. I'm giving my possessions, my nechasim, to all the children that we will have. Okay, fine. And this is talked about even before she was even pregnant. No Uber, no nothing. Us Berek Shisha, the oldest son came, that was born from a different woman. Amalei, and he says to the father, "Who God might Amalei? What are my chicken legs over here? I'm a son too." Okay, so chicken scratch. Anyway, what am I? Chopped liver. Okay, good. All right. So he wanted to know what's going to be with me. Amalei, so he says, he says, go, and you will be kind of like one of the brothers, like one of the brothers equally. Hanach says, those children that he said he's giving as matana, to the children that we will have in the future, there's no king here. It's not even Uber. The Rashbam says Uba is still a Metzias that's there, and we said yesterday by a Uba, the Daita Shal Adam, Krevel B'noi, it's a son. So there was a Gemiras Das Akinyan. Here there's nothing. There's no Uba. You can't say that.
Yeah, what about the second son? That's when he maybe he said go collect like they did from the others.
Wait, we're getting to you jumping. Wait, getting it. The Akati Lesna, because these children are Bechlal, not even in the mother's stomach. Hi, what about this Ben Hagadol? Let us say that when she has children, after she has children, at the end it comes out there are 3 brothers, together with him it's 4 brothers, right? So, do we say that he gets first a quarter as a matana, because the father said it as a matana before that he will get share with the brothers, even though the brothers cannot get because they didn't exist? But he made it sound like if they were to exist, he would get a quarter, so it's 25. Let's say it's $100. So you take off 25, you got as a matana. Now you have 75. Those 75 you divide between the 4 brothers as Yerusha. Leslie Chulak L'Tayim King B'naya. Or we say no, there's no chelik. He doesn't get it. Just like the other 3 brothers, when he said he's giving as matana, they weren't getting anything. He meant to say you're also getting nothing. Okay, we'll soon see.
So the first thing we'll say that they're going to share on 3/4. The 4 are going to share on 3.
You're going to get the matana quarter, and after you got your quarter that you were supposed to get as matana, there's 3 chalakim left that you'll divide with the 4 brothers as Yerusha. Okay, Rabbi Yabim, Rabbi Yashua, Rabbi Yimya, the Amri is chulak letalia b'mchein b'naya. Rabbi Oven, Rabbi Yashua. Remember these names, Rabbi Oven especially, and Rabbi Yimya. They say that this nar does get a chilik as a matana.
He doesn't get.
He does. They say he gets a chilik as a matana, and the other 3 halakim is divided as a yerusha between all 4.
That's what we just said. Yeah.
No, we said the 2 sides. That was a shayla. So we're telling you now all the shitas. Rabbi Avo, Rabbi Chanina Bapapi, Rabbi Yitzchak Nafcha. They say leis chulak l'talya b'mkein b'naya. They say nope. He gets 0, absolutely 0.
Who gets 0?
As a matana, the oldest brother gets mitzav matana. He doesn't get anything. He only divides in the Yerusha equally. The father's leftover, what he left over. Amalei Rabbi Avo.
Because like I said before, like he said, he said.
It was said as a joke.
Divide with the brothers that don't exist
but,
yet.
Right. So
maybe
it means
within 10 kids, what would you get? Less.
Right.
You don't know exactly what your chalik would be.
But the punchline is he told you to divide with somebody that there's that who are not getting, which means you're not getting either. Okay, anyway, Amalei Rabbi Avo, Rabbi Yirmiyah. Now remember, Rabbi Avo said to Rabbi Yirmiyah is from the first group, right? So Rabbi Avo was from the second group. Rabbi Yirmiyah says what? That he gets, the oldest brother does get as a matana. Rabbi Avo says you don't get it as a matana. So Rabbi Avo said
he also said that they divide the 4 divide like 3/4, right?
Which one? Rabbi Yirmiyah said that.
Yes.
Rabbi Avo says the 4 divide the 4 quarters. There's no matana for the oldest son.
Yeah, but they said, Rabbi Abba said that they take the 3. First he gets his
Gets him
quarter.
a quarter, matana, and then they
take the
divide.
3 quarters and they divide among the 4.
Correct.
That's what they do.
Yeah. Amalei Rabbi Avo, Rabbi Avo said to Rabbi Yirmiyah, Hilchasek of a son or Hilchasek of a cycle? Is the halacha like us, Rabbi Avo, like we said, he doesn't get a matana? Or is the halacha like you, that you say he does get his matana?
That the
oldest one gets the matana. Says the Yimad Amalei, Rabbi Yirmiyah said to Rabbi Avo, just shaila, sheet, Hilchasek of a son. Rabbi Yirmiyah said that for sure, the halacha is like us, that he doesn't get a matana. The Kshishim and Naichu, because we are much older than you, Rabbi Yirmiyah. Our group is much older, all of us. No, Rabbi Yirmiyah's group.
Rabbi Yirmiyah was the first group.
Which one?
Rabbi Yirmiyah was the first
Yeah,
group.
he says our group is much older than Rabbi Avo's group, which is the second group.
So the Kshisha did get a...
So he says, Kshisha, now he's saying that Allah is like us.
Yeah.
That the Kshisha does get a Mamatana, the oldest gets, because we are Kshisha, we are older than you.
Okay,
Says, we love Hilchasek of
that's what I wanted to say to this woman. I'm a little older.
Okay. And the halach is not like you. The darti kiyatun, because you guys are like little babies to us. Amalei, Rabbi Avo said to Rabbi Yirmiyah, Nida b'kashishusa talia milsa. What, it goes according to age? The halacha goes according to whoever's older. That's who knows the halacha. And whoever's younger, we don't pass him like him. There's a bit time at talia milsa. It has to go according to reasoning. It doesn't go according to age. The time am I, and what's talking the reason in your age? So he says, Legabi de Rabbi Yavin. Go to Rabbi Yavin, the Hasbat and the Ale, which I explain our reason to Rabbi Yavin. Rabbi Yavin is the first group with Rabbi Yirmiyah. And Rabbi Yavin retracted from what he said.
Retracted from
Yeah, look. I explained to Rabbi Yavin, and he nodded with his head that I'm right. He heard my spot. Rabbi Avo, he says, I told him our spot why he shouldn't get it as a matana. And he shook his head. Yeah, you're right. Rabbi Yavin shook his head. Right.
Shake your head is enough?
No, I was like, Rabbi Yirmiyah went to Rabbi Yavin because it was part of his group. What are you? You're turning out your back on us? What happened? Amalei Elo Amalei. He says, listen, what's it the father would have said to the oldest one? Kinei kachamoir. You should be kaina your chelik of matana like a chamoir. Mikani is going to be a kaina? Of course not. It'll be kaina like a chamoir, which is not kaina. It's the same thing. These children were not charged to be kaina, so you're not kaina either. The itzmat that we learned, now he brings back where we learned about it. It says if one who says to his friend, be kaina like the chamoir. Like kaina is not kaina. But what's if he says, at v'chamoir should be kaina that piece of property? He, because he separated him and the chamoir, he didn't say kachamoir, he didn't depend on the chamoir. So you be koina the property together with the chameir. That means it's two separate entities. So you'll be koina half. Rav Hamnuna lo yamaklum. Rav Hamnuna says no. Since he put them together, it's 0. Rav Sheshes Amar no kana hakel. He meant to give him the whole thing. He knew the chameir cannot be koina, but the person could be koina, so he gets the whole thing.
How come these guys have such different opinions?
Okay, here you go. From where do I know Taka that he gets the whole thing? The Tanya that we learned in the Braisa. Now, there's Tuma Bikishus. Tuma Bikishus means cucumbers. Cucumbers, the inner part is bitter, and there's some of the outer part that's sweet. But let's say he gives the cheshbon, 8% is the average of cucumbers of being sweet, and 2% would be bitter, right? But this one could be that.
So what's with the rest? It's only 10%.
You're not allowed to take out from for each cucumber. We're saying, he's saying he's taking one cucumber, and this one cucumber has more bitter than the sweet. So what happens is you're not allowed to take out truma is not considered truma if you're taking from the bitter for the sweet. So he says take another part of a sweet part of the cucumber, add it to it, so it'll be a real truma for the rest. 1/50th is truma. If you want, but he says take a bigger one, in order that for sure you'll have more sweet than the average, so it will cover for all the other ones that are sweet. Okay, the Tanya that we learned in the Braisa. When again you have frashas tumah bekishus by cucumbers or gourds, where there's bitter and sweet, and you cannot ein lahafish mimah ala mosik. It says befedish, you cannot separate from the bad for the good. It's not a good truma, okay? Because it says mikol matnoisechem tarina is called tumas Hashem mikol chalbay. Yet you have to take from the best for the in order that it should be truma. Rabbi Yossi says the bitterness of kishus is in the inner part of it, in the inner part of the gourd. And therefore, when he's mafish, a person is mafish tuma from cucumbers, and he wants to have a mind for all the rest of the other 49. So he should add to the cucumber a little bit from the outer part of a different cucumber, because the outer part is more sweet. The inner part, we just said, the mar bekishus is bepnimi, but he says so. Take from the outer part, add it, and only b'rak oz, and only then it will be have a din of truma. So this is like atva chameir, because here you have mar, and you have kishus together. You have a mar and masuk together, and the mar cannot be counted for the truma for the rest. And you're still saying it's a good truma, even though it's this sweet.
But you're adding the sweetness. Though.
Yeah, so it's like you have a person with a chameir. You're adding the person with the chameir.
So how do you give truma on the business on the inside?
1 minute. So he says so it has to be one that's only sweet. You can't add and have two parts. You're saying even though it's like two parts, you could still consider it as truma.
In other words, you're taking from another cucumber and
adding on from another cucumber to this one, so it's covered as
like
it has more right. This one is like a chameir, and you added more sweet, so you have mar or masuk, and you have other. Let's call the other is masuk, and the chameir is mar. And you said it helps to be for truma, so at the chameir should help for him to be kainah. Says the Gemara, no, it's a Shena Maisa, but it's a Shani Hasam. There it's different. There, even if you were to take off just the bitter part, a cucumber for all the rest of the cucumbers, it would be considered as truma. Even though it's mar, it's bad, but it will be truma. Here, by the Chameir, it's not a kinyan. He's not charged like kinyan. You can't get. He's not ready to be kainah at all. Rabbi Allah said, from where do we know if you take off bad for the good, it's truma? Like it says, you shouldn't be over on a sin when you take off from the smetana. If you want to do it right, take off the best for the best, and if not, you'll have a sin. Now we made a kaddish. If you're going to say bad and good is not truma, so what kind of a sin is there? The sin is chayik lama. Why is there a sin? Well, you have to say mikan truma. Rather, you have a raya that even when you take off bad for the good, it is truma. So again, this is not a good comparison. Rav Avia is the pircha from the Mishnah, Akasha from the Mishnah. There was a story with 5 women, and between the 5 women there were 2 sisters. And one man filled up from their fields figs, filled up a whole basket. It belonged to the women, but it was the year of Shvius, so it's Hafka. So when he took it and he was zeichen it, it's his. And then he says, he went to all 5 women and he gave it to one. He says, you're all mekadesh to me with this basket of figs.
He was mekadesh all these women?
Yeah. The kibla achsmam.
What did he say?
There were 2 sisters. Wait. The kibla achsmam miyad mehen al yidei kulam. And one of them accepted on behalf of all of them. The other ones he's engaged. Their sisters are not. Says the Gemara, who is not engaged? Only their sisters. Oh, but those that are not sisters, are not relatives, mukadashis. You have the achoyes, which is like the chaber. You can't, the sisters, you can't marry them. It's not, when you're being mekadesh, you have to be able to, it has to be dava anos and lebi. It's not shayach.
Because he gave it to all of them at once.
Right. So this is a mamish. The kiddushin cannot be taped on the sisters. So since part of the women are not, it's not going to be chal, right? It's like a chamer. Part of the kinyan cannot be chal. So the same thing we should learn. When you mitzarif, you could be mitzarif something that's not chal with something that's chal. With a kinyan, like a person who kinyan is chal by a person.
So what we do,
And
we just ignore the chabar.
Right, it's just like over here, you ignore the two sisters. With the Kedushin cannot be chal. Or here, with the king, cannot be chal by chamer. But you ignore that part, and the person's kind. And it's a full Kedushin that he has with those women. So you have a raya. Amalei, nah, I know the Chazoyer Rav Huna Avia Bechoma. This to Yufta. He says that Rav Huna, the son of Avia, who asked the Shaila just now, he says, I saw my father in the Cholam. He saw, Rav Huna saw Avia in the Cholam. The Meis of Rav Avia to Yufta, he saw that Rav Avia, his father, asked this question. And he came to a dream, in his dream, and he saw, he saw Rav Huna, I'm sorry, Rav Huna bar Avia, Rav Huna bar Avia saw his father Avia asked this question. And he saw that his dream came true because his mom's the question he saw in his dream.
The question of what if?
This question. Haven't we established the Mishnah with the women, the story with the women where there were two sisters? We said the Kedushin is Chal. Over there it's different. The man who gave the basket of Te'enin and said all these women should be Mekudesh to me, he didn't say it that way. He said those that are fit to become a Kedushas. Yeah, so that's different. He's separated. So Haruya became. So you already said. So that Mishnah is talking about Dafke didn't combine. He broke the groups in two already. He said no, I'm only taking the group that's a Haruya. Good. So therefore you don't have an eye from there. There was this person that said to his wife in the tzavah, nechosai lich v'levnayach. My nechosim I'm giving to you and to my sons. So how much is she getting? Rabbi Yosef says so she gets automatically half. Not like one of the chalakim of the sons. She gets half.
Yeah, how could you treat her as a son? You know.
No, 1 minute. It's not so pashut. Rabbi Yosef, how do you jump to half? Maybe she gets an equal chelik like the other children. What makes you say that she gets half?
No, she's the mother.
So what? She gets a chelik and the rest of the kids. Where do we see that? The Tanya that we learned in the Braisa, Rabbi Yoina. Rabbi says by the lech mapanim, it says v'hoisa la'arin u'levanav, that the lech mapanim should be divided between Aaron and the children. Each one gets 5. Really, there should be 6, and 6 there was 12. So the Gemara will explain what happened with the other 2. Says the Gemara mechzel Aaron, mechzel levanav. Half went to Aaron, and half went to the Koyanei Mishma from that Mishma. So you see from the words of Rabbi that when there's a matana for a Yochid and a Rabbim, right? The Yochid gets equally to the Rabbim. Not that he gets an equal chelik, he gets as much as the Rabbim is getting, he gets the half. He gets mamish half of what the Rabbim is getting. Right. Amalei Abai, so Abai says, you bring me a rai from Lechem Apanim. Bishleim Hasam, there by the Lechem Apanim, Aaron Bar Chaluku. Even without mentioning Aaron's name, he's a Kohen. He would have had already a chelik in the Lechem Apanim. He would have had a chelik. So why would we need his name? It says Aaron. What was the lashon? He said Aaron ulabanav. Why would you mention Aaron? He's a kohen. He's sure he gets an equal if he's only getting an equal chelik with all the other kohen. So he says the reason why we mentioned Aaron. This is the reason that the Torah detailed Aaron's name. The Mishkel Palga, that he doesn't get stam a chelik like the rest of the kohen. He gets half. Isha la bas Yerushahi. Aisha is not a Yiddish. So now that he says you're getting, she gets the stage above nothing, which is equal to the kids. Not that she gets half, and the kids get the rest of the kids get the other half. Doesn't make sense. She wasn't a Yiddish lechatchila.
So Rabbi Yosef said she gets a half.
Rabbi Yosef explained by Aaron, why did he get half? Because Aaron is extra. The Torah said an extra word Aaron. Aaron was a kohen, he was supposed to get a chelik. By mentioning Aaron, we go up a step higher. That it means that he gets half. Isha is not a Yiddish, so the next step, she gets equal when you mention that she's getting a matana. Is it so that when somebody gives Leishta Levanov, she only takes equally as one chelik, like equal chelik to one son? Meaning, like she divides equally with all the kids. Well, we know there was a story in Hadar where Shchit gave his nechasim to his wife and his children. And Shmuel said, give half of all the nechasim to the woman. And B'Tveria also, there was a story in Tveria. Rabbi Yochanan said, give the woman half of the nechasim. And even more so. When Rabbi Yitzchak Yosef came from Eretz Yisrael to Bavel, there was a story in Eretz Yisrael with Yanei HaMelech. He said that the Shad of the Malka Abuli Ba'as Aba Isterugi. The house of the kingdom said that the wealthy, together with the leaders, have to split equally for my crown.
To my what?
For my crown. Okay, I'm a Rebbe, and Rebbe said, Naisibu Abuli Balga Isterugi Palga. When he said that, when the Malka said it's the Achrayas is on the Abuli, the Asterugi, it's on both. So Rabbi said, what does it mean the obligation is on both? Even though the leaders are not as wealthy as the leaders didn't have the kind of money like the wealthy have, but we say it was equally half on their heads. So you see, by saying the words Abuli the Isterugi, right? When he mentioned Isterugi, even though Isterugi wouldn't have to pay anything. If you would have mentioned Isterugi, the leaders, they wouldn't have to pay. They wouldn't pay anything. So now that if the kingdom didn't say that the Isterugi are involved in being responsible for the crown, they wouldn't have to give a penny, right? Now that you mentioned Isterugi, so let them give according to their wealth, not half. They don't have what the Ashirim have, and here you say no half, even though they're coming. Like by the Isha, is not a Yiddish, right? So she comes from nothing, and then you jump up to half. Here you have the same thing.
So Rabbi Yosef was correct?
So the first sheet is correct. She gets half. Says Gemara, Hachi Hashta, could you compare? Hasam may korek, you have a kasvi, abuli, have a kasvi. V'esterugi have Messiah v'hadeyo. He says, if they would have only written that the responsibilities for the wealthy, the leaders would help anyway, regardless. Even if they mention Aibuli, it's self-understood that besides that Shirim have the responsibility, even though it said that Shirim, the leaders always had to chip in, work out something to help. Boy. That's how it always went. That's what he says. Says the Gemara, so now, the Malka, the king knew that the leaders are helping out together with the Ashirim. Now, Hashta, Abuli Hastarugi, now that you mentioned the king, the Beis HaMalchus said the Hastarugi are responsible, so that goes up a step higher from what they normally did in helping. That's why they paid half. Mashenka Ish is not a Yiddish. Yeah.
That he said she gets half.
The honey palga. He says, now that they said Abuli Hastarugi, to tell you, why did they mention the Hastarugi in the Beis HaMalchus? To tell you that the Hastarugi, the leaders have to pay, not according to the wealth, they have to pay half. He says, I take upon myself, I come mincha, to give 100 Yisodin of Seilis. Now, a keli, to be able to mix it, the most you can mix is 60 with the shaman. More than that, you can't. It's not going to work. But he promised 100. So you do 60 and you do 40 because you want to give a mincha grena. So what happened? So maybe Shisha Mikli Yachad, Abai Mikli Yachad. He being 61, and 40 in another. What's if he brought 50? And B'Kli Yachad, the one Keli v'Chamishim B'Kli Yachad, another 50 in the other Keli, Yotzi is Yotzi. Says the Gemara, Im
Why would you think that?
Oh, 1 minute. Im Hevi, because the Mishnah says only 60-40. In fact, Im Hevi, in. It says only B'Diavad. If he brought it already 50-50, it's going to be good. But the Chatchila loy, but to begin with, he shouldn't do so.
One keli should have more than the other.
One keli should have 60, yeah. In fact, the Gemara, Yisal Kadaitach, Kol Ki Haygavna, that in every case where you mention a detail, he said Shnei Kelim. So it should be half and half. Palgo, palgo. You're saying that it means half and half. So I feel Chatchila Nama, even to begin with, it should be good. In fact, Gemara, Hachi Hashta, could you compare? Hasmanan Sadi, the Haygavna, Yikar Lekabim Godel, Kamechavim. There by the mincha, you want to give a mincha gedola, a big one. So where would it be more emphasized when you put more in one keli, the most that you could? Why did he say shnei kelim? The yodad lo yashal asay b'kli yachad. He knew it's impossible to do the bila in of more than 61 kelim. That's why you need a second keli. As much as you can put in one keli, he put in.
So 60 can go into
60, one,
and you can still mix it in that way.
You can still mix it, and the other 40 went in there. That was the rest. He promised 100. So the mother will say there have Yosef. So here you have no raya that's half and half, even though he said the extra word shnei kelim, because here we are non-sadi that he wants to give a mincha gedola. That's why one kelim. Oh, 1 second. But negayed to 3 didn't. By b'shali shmui seilu sada. If you remember, we learned before that if a person had a field next to the field of his father who passed away, to be able to claim that he wants this field, that it should be Bametza. We spoke. Yud Beis Amid Beis, he says. Shaladas Rabba Zakoyi hu b'tfiyazu. We have Yosef of Sheina Zakoyi ba. He cannot. No, Yud Beis. Daf Yud Beis in this Masech. Okay, so Rabbi Yosef says he cannot be Zayik. Keep Mishra B'Dav Klav, Tishnach Lo Rabba. Rabbi Yosef, Peskin LaHalach Gerabba. But here he's telling you that Allah is like Rabbi Yosef, that he cannot claim that field that's next to his field. Okay? Inyan, this we had also before, on Kuf Yud Dalit, that somebody made Kinyan Chalipin on something, but if he's still in the same topic, he can retract. As long as he didn't go off to another topic. So according to Rabbi, he cannot retract. Yosef says, "Sheyochol la'asabeh apadav zeh." Mashmeinu ha'gemara shehalach Rabbi Yosef la'amrot shev'derek k'shenach l'yimrabah halach Rabba. So according to Rabbi, he cannot retract, and according to Rabbi Yosef, he could retract. Okay, as long as he's in the same inyan. Umachza is our Gemara. Umachza, that one who said in his matana is giving nichsei lecha uv lech. I'm giving my possessions to you, my wife, and all my kids. Then she gets half, and the kids get.
They shouldn't complain.
No, okay, you're right. There was this person who left over silk clothing. Rabbi Yami said, those silk clothing that are fit for the sons, go to the sons. Those silk clothing that's fit for the daughters, go to the daughters. This is only talking about if he doesn't have daughter-in-laws. But if he has daughter-in-laws, it goes to the daughter-in-laws before the married daughters.
Why is that?
Because that's the son is more chaviv to the father, so it's the daughter-in-law that's more cheshiv to him. But if it's daughters that are not married, it goes to his regular daughters because he wants that the men should jump on them, so that they should be dressed in beautiful clothing. Then you don't leave it. You don't leave, meaning you give it to the daughters before the daughter-in-laws. If they're single daughters, if it's married daughters versus married and daughter-in-laws, you give it to the daughter-in-laws before the married daughters. Because of the son. But if it's single girls, so he says that you give it to the single daughters before the daughter-in-laws. And then the Mukhi Yosef says, Kedei sheyirtza noshim lasasam, that they should get dressed beautiful, that men should want to marry her. There was this person who said, my nechasim go to my sons. He had only one son, one daughter. But he used the word levanai, plural, right? Is it the derech of a person to call a ben yachid banai b'lashon rabim? And if so, we have to say his kavanah was to give everything to his son, and he's coming to exclude his daughter not to get anything, and the whole thing should go to the son. Or perhaps or perhaps it's not the derech of a person to call a ben yachid banai. So why did he say banim? Obviously to include the daughter. Two minim. And he's coming to include. I did it, helped. He was right. Whoa. So he says, and a lot of times you say, girls are included. Okay, good. Abaya said, listen, I'll answer you. Tashma, I'll prove to you. Ubnei Dan Chushim. The children of Dan, Chushim was one. And you was Bnei. No, they have no proof. Maybe it goes according to the Dasha of Chizkiah. He says that the child of Dan was like a bundle of reeds which grow together a lot, together, and that's what he wanted to say.
There was only one son.
Well, it was one son, but he used the chush. He said, but he wanted to describe it that it was a son, that it was like a whole bunch of reeds that grow together, that it's like a lot. El Amar Rava. So Rava says from here, it says, Bnei Falu, the children, in plural, of Falu was Eliyav. There was only one son. So you see, Bnei, plural, is used for one son. Rav Yosef Amar, it says, Bnei a son, Azariah. It says Bnei, and it was only one son, Azariah. There was a story with this person who said to the people around him, he was about to die. He was a shchimera. He says, my nechasim should go to my children. He had a son and a grandson. Do we call a grandson a son also, so he gets also part of the Yerusha? Or not? Or we don't call a grandson a son and he doesn't get part of the Yerusha. Rav Chaviva said that they do, people call their grandson son. So therefore, he does get a chelik. Mabarvashi Amar, Mabarvashi says they don't call a grandson son, so he doesn't get a chelik. Yeah, but here he says they don't call. So it's a machlekes. They are like, but do we call them a son or not? Here we're talking about calling them with that name. Tanya Kavased about Baravashi. We learned like Mabaravashi that we don't call a grandson son. We're Hamuda Anomi Banim. Somebody who made a neder, he asked it on himself with her neder to derive any benefit from his sons. Muta b'vnei banim. He's allowed to derive benefit from his grandchildren. So you see, a son is not, it does not include a grandson.
Maybe that's different.